We made the last payment on our home in August. We got the deed in the first week of September. And the second week of September, the storm comes and we were all washed out. And what it took us almost 30 years to accomplish is gone in less than 30 hours. So I'm back to square one.
Disasters can strike anywhere, at any time. We cannot just react to these disasters. We must be prepared.
Storm surge is starting to come on in a little. That wind is howling.
And since disasters know no season, we must be prepared at all times to respond to any type of emergency.
Disasters can't be counted on to be infrequent, and North Carolina will experience another kind of incident. We know that. It could be from natural causes, it could be homeland security, it could be an unexpected chemical spill. But you have to be ready for that.
Some types of disasters we have experienced before, and we know we will experience again. For other types of emergencies, you never know when they will happen or when the unexpected will come.
It was just an explosion of glass. This is like all you could hear, seemed like for 30 seconds was glass exploding.
It's just something you wouldn't expect at all.
Well, we absolutely have to be prepared for disasters. This state has disasters regularly.
We all share that responsibility to be prepared.
As a citizen myself, I try to be prepared. I try to think through what it is I would do. But the bottom line is you can never be too prepared.
Families and individuals need to do their part by discussing emergency plans and putting together emergency supplies kits. Know the policies and plans for your workplace and your children's school. Don't forget to check on your neighbors or others who may need help. And be sure to include your pets in your plans.
Get those kits together, think through your evacuation plans.
I would make sure I had shoes on, which I didn't. I would make sure that we put lighting and flashlights and cell phones and stuff, because when we ran out of the house, you didn't stop to get any of that stuff.
We already had the battery-operated lights and lamps, and also had batteries for flashlights and stuff like that.
Our cities and counties are our first line of defense in a disaster. They know which resources they have and what their capabilities are. They understand how critical it is not only to have emergency plans in place, but to know how to execute those plans in an instant.
Well, remember, disasters begin and end at the local level.
Well, that's just it. You never know when it's going to happen. But I can tell you from being a fire chief in a small North Carolina town that it will happen at the most unexpected time. But if you've got a plan in place, if you've trained your personnel, if you've practiced that plan, it will pay off and your event will be successful. Being prepared proved to be very worthwhile for us.
Those community leaders also know they can turn to each other or to the state for help if needed.
Disasters are going to happen. When disasters happen, the first people there are always going to be the local responders. And as they need help, if they overuse or use the resources they have available to them, they're going to turn to the next level of government for support. And that's what the state's role is to come in and help local government when there is an emergency or a disaster.
We don't know when an emergency is going to occur. At the drop of a hat, our people have to be ready to respond.
So our personnel trained for widespread, large-scale evacuations, never really thinking we'd have to implement them.
So we do need to be prepared at every level, in every county, in every region of North Carolina. There's a disaster that will come wherever you live in this state. So we need to be prepared as a state within the different regions, but we need to be prepared in every county in this state.
But emergency preparedness doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen by accident. Preparedness takes some deliberate thought, and it requires an investment of both time and money.
When it's your community that's at risk, you want the investment to have happened, and so everybody in the state who makes funding decisions needs to remember that this is a key priority for us and for our people.
If we don't prepare, then we're not going to be ready. So we have to constantly be preparing, quite frankly, for the unknown. And that's a difficult thing to do.
We've really got to be serious about this. We've got to be prepared. We've got to have a well-functioning emergency management office in every county, well-staffed. We've got to have adequate budget at the state level so that we can do this job.
I'm a big believer in preparation, and the state's a big believer in preparation. So we have tabletop exercises where we actually simulate an emergency situation, working with federal and state partners.
We have to be able to respond when the emergency occurs. We can't do it afterwards, and we have to collaborate with the locals and the state officials, because if you go out the first time to respond and you've not coordinated your efforts, then it's not going to run very efficiently.
And one of the things it takes is money. You can't do this on the cheap. Human lives are at stake. And so we've got to be prepared to support a strong and adequate budget for our emergency management division in state government. We've got to be prepared to support those offices in our counties.
Disasters are going to happen in this state, and we have a responsibility to be ready and prepared when they do.
Those families, businesses, and communities with plans already in place will fare best, because you can't plan ahead and prepare for a disaster after the fact.
The investment that we make is critical. And so in North Carolina, setting aside resources as precious as they are in these times for emergency preparedness is the right decision to make, because all of us need to be prepared. It's how you escape danger and emergencies, because again, being prepared is the safest course.